As a trained painter knows exactly what of the three primary colors, red, blue and yellow, he has to mix together to get any color he desires, so a trained yogi or transcendentalist is able to see all types of consciousness in any living being. This is because he understands the three modes of material nature: goodness, passion and ignorance. But what are these modes of nature? How do they influence us and how can we recognize them? This I want to explore with you in this video.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
The three modes of material nature, also known in Sanskrit as the Gunas, are the governing factors that influence everything we do and are surrounded with. It is an essential topic discussed in the Vedas with many facets and details. I have tried to structure and present this topic in the form of a presentation, and I hope this will help you to get an overview of all the important aspects. If you feel lost any time during the video, please have a look on the timestamps that will guide you through all the topics. Let's begin. The Sanskrit names for the three modes are Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Sattva being goodness, Rajas being passion, and Tamas being ignorance. The mode of goodness is purer than passion and ignorance and gives us a sense of happiness and knowledge. Sattva is the principle of maintenance that keeps everything in nature balanced. In Sattva we experience harmony, balance and peace. The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings and causes us to work with a desire to enjoy the fruits of our activities. Rajas is the principle of creation that opens possibilities to interact with this material world in a spirit of sense enjoyment. In Rajas, we experience activity, desire and hankering. The mode of ignorance, also known as the mode of darkness or tamas, is what causes us to be deluded. Tamas is the principle of destruction and causes us to be dull, crazy and inactive. In Tamas we are inactive, confused and depressed. The modes of nature are always competing for prominence. Goodness sometimes defeats passion and ignorance and vice versa. The modes of nature are also rarely pure in one person, but generally mixed. Just as we don't always see red, blue and yellow in other colors even though they are present in them. How the modes are interrelated we can see on a practical example. When we get sick, then we are forced to take more rest and precautions to help the body to regenerate. Naturally, in this way, we become more influenced by the mode of ignorance. Even without being sick, we have to sleep, which is by itself an activity in ignorance, but necessary to keep focus and concentration, which is a sign of goodness. How is it, for example, that we sometimes feel like not doing anything at all and everything just seems useless? Then other times we feel great inspiration and are very productive. This is a sign that the modes of nature are affecting us and interrelated. Now, in order to understand the modes of nature or gunas, we need to discuss how they manifest in different aspects of our life and what results we can expect when we associate with them. The Vedic scriptures mostly deal with topics concerning the three modes of nature and are generally categorized in 9 fields of influence. These fields of influence are qualities, the essential nature or character we have; symptoms, what can we observe; work, the activities we are inclined to do; knowledge, our conception of and values in life; environment, where we like to live and spend time; food, what do we like to eat; faith, what do we believe in and what morals do we have; happiness, how do we perceive it; place of destination, where will we go. Let's go through all of these one by one and for each mode of material nature, and at the end of each chapter we summarize them. The qualities describe the prominent character that a person in that mode develops. The symptoms indicate how we recognize them. A man or a woman in the mode of goodness has the primary quality of being self-controlled. If something that I want is not available, I will not be disturbed. And if it is available, I will accept it without losing my mind in excessive joy. As lamenting about something I don't have is useless, and being overly joyful about something I have brings fear of losing it. I keep my mind in equilibrium by understanding everything in this world to be temporary and therefore of no real value for the soul. So in the mode of goodness we are aware of this, and we can perfectly adapt to that fact and remain peaceful in all circumstances. When consciousness becomes clear and the senses are detached from worldly objects, one becomes fearless, even within this material body, and one becomes relieved from the uncontrolled and disturbed mind. The qualities of lust, anger and greed steadily diminish if we remain in Sattva Guna, and as a result we become happy and peaceful. Someone in a mode of passion is primarily concerned with achieving worldly pleasures at any cost. Therefore, its primary quality or character of that mode is that of lust and greed. The influence of the mode of passion is the clouding of intelligence because of too much activity, the great attachment of perceiving sense pleasure, and hankering for objects to satisfy the demands of the body. The result of such qualities are an unhealthy condition of the working physical organs and a great disturbance within the mind. Lastly, a person in the mode of ignorance. The primary quality of that mode is unreasonable and destructive anger, which results in hatred. That hatred leads to a desire to harm others or oneself. If one is not busy in disturbing others, he is lazy. And such a mentality is the most binding and degrading in this world, which is the reason why the mode of ignorance is compared to complete spiritual darkness. When one's higher awareness fails and one is unable to focus his attention, his mind becomes dull, manifesting ignorance and depression. So let's sum up the symptoms and qualities of the three modes of material nature. In Sattva, the qualities are that of self-control. One only takes what is necessary and easily available. One is not affected by happiness and distress, and one becomes fearless. The symptoms are the diminishment of lust, anger and greed, constant perceivance of happiness, and peace. In Rajas, the qualities are hankering for material pleasure. One is very active, has a clouded intelligence, and lust and greed are predominant. The symptoms of Rajas are an unhealthy condition of the body, a disturbed mind, and great attachment. The qualities of Tamas are destructive anger, hatred, and a desire to harm oneself and others. One becomes very bound to this world, and he is lazy or inactive. The symptoms are that the mind becomes dull, one is inattentive, and self-destructive or depressed. Work defines the activity someone in a specific mode of nature is inclined to perform, and also the result he wants to achieve by doing so. The word karma in Sanskrit does not mean simply physical or mental labor, but it means activity in general. In Sattvaguna, one performs work simply to elevate oneself to a higher consciousness while maintaining basic regular necessities. We speak therefore of work in detachment. Work in detachment means I am aware of my spiritual position, that I am different from this body, and my goal is simply to attain knowledge of self-realization. The worker in Sattva is very aware of the subtle rules within this world and therefore only engages with it as much as is necessary to maintain a healthy condition of body and mind. Although externally he might engage in similar activities like the persons of a lower mode of nature, like eating, sleeping, working, and recreation, internally he remains unaffected by the bad qualities of passion and ignorance. He is also aware to choose that whatever work he performs in order to maintain himself does not cause unnecessary harm to others, because by doing so we become more entangled in the effects of sinful reactions that bind us tighter to this world and causes us suffering. He works without love or hate. That means he performs his duties without a desire for a reward, in great enthusiasm and determination, without wavering in success and failure, simply for the sake of doing the right action, and motivated by a desire to acquire transcendental knowledge. In that way, he is situated in Sattva Guna. Work in the mode of passion means I strive to achieve my material hankerings such as wealth, fame, followers, and actively pursuing sex desire. Work in Rajas is motivated by intense hankering for sense enjoyment, either related to my own body or to extensions of the body like family, friends, country, and society. The result of work in the mode of passion is that of hard struggle for existence, constant anxiety, but also material pleasure. Work in the mode of ignorance disregards any scriptural or Vedic injunctions. The actions of a person in Tamas are done without a concern for future bondage. Because he is very stubborn, he has no concern for committing violence or causing distress to others, and his actions are neither good for himself nor good for others. He is expert in cheating, insulting others, and is always lazy and morose and procrastinating. His activities don't go beyond dreaming, lamenting, depression, and illusion. He finds shelter only in intoxication and sleep. Now let us summarize the topic of work. A person who works in Sattva only works modestly and as much as is necessary, is motivated by a desire to acquire knowledge, carries out his responsibilities without considering personal happiness. He does not work with a desire for a reward. He does only accept work that does not intentionally cause harm to others, and he works with great enthusiasm and determination. A worker in Rajas is working for money, fame, followers, and sexual motivations. His type of work is whatever will be suitable in fulfilling his material desires. He works either for himself or for people he identifies with. He is constantly busy, and as a result of his endeavor, he achieves sense pleasure. A worker in Tamas disregards any scripture, has no concern for others, is expert in cheating and lying, he is always procrastinating, and his main activities are sleep and intoxication. Knowledge means to know things as they are. Under the modes of material nature, even what seems complete knowledge is either partial knowledge or no knowledge at all. In the Bhagavad Gita, the term knowledge, in Sanskrit called Gyan, is directly referring to knowledge about matter and spirit and their correlation. In Sattva Guna, knowledge about the true nature of both the spiritual worlds and material worlds is cultivated, and one develops the understanding to differentiate between the two. His cultivation of knowledge is based on Vedic scripture and free from mental speculation. Knowledge in the mode of goodness means that I can see the undivided spiritual nature in all living beings, although they are divided into innumerable forms. That means, although different species of life, like plants, insects, and other animals, have a different shape or form, they nonetheless share the same quality of spirit within them that gives consciousness to the body, which is called the Atma or the soul. In Bhagavad Gita, there's a very nice verse explaining this. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater. Knowledge in the mode of goodness produces all good qualities. These qualities are listed as follows: humility, pridelessness, non-violence, tolerance, simplicity, approaching a bona fide spiritual master, cleanliness, steadiness, self-control, renunciation of the objects of sense gratification, absence of false ego, the perception of the evil of birth, death, old age and disease, detachment, freedom from entanglement with children, wife, home and the rest, even-mindedness amid pleasant and unpleasant events, constant and unalloyed devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, aspiring to live in a solitary place, detachment from the general mass of people, accepting the importance of self-realization, and philosophical search for the absolute truth. All these Krishna declares to be knowledge, and whatever besides this exists is actually ignorance. Knowledge in the mode of passion is that by which one sees that in every different body there is a different type of living entity. It means I distinguish a human form from an animal based on the body. Some religions even proclaim that animals have no souls and only humans have. That is knowledge in the mode of passion. What is also knowledge in the mode of passion is that thinking when our body is finished, the living being ceases to exist. The conception that the body itself is the soul and there is no separate soul beyond this body is also in the mode of passion. Knowledge that is producing many theories and doctrines based on mundane logic and mental speculation is a product of the mode of passion. Knowledge in the mode of passion creates separatism, like nationality and religion, strong attachment and extreme endeavor for achieving material things. But knowledge in the mode of passion does not just mean conceptions and ideas or logic. It also means actual knowledge about the material nature as it is. However, because the knowledge of material nature separate from the spiritual origin is always partial and therefore incomplete, therefore knowledge in the mode of passion is flawed. Knowledge of the mode of ignorance means that I see only one type of work as the all in all, like studying material science and concluding based on that study exclusively whether or not God exists. This is very meager and small-minded knowledge. Knowledge in the mode of darkness only concerns one with the question, how can I maintain and enjoy this body? It is basically the knowledge of eating, sleeping, mating and defending, which is knowledge even accessible to common animals. All knowledge that is exclusively concerning these four aspects of life is knowledge in Tamaguna. The result of knowledge in the mode of ignorance is actually the exact opposite of knowledge, and one becomes mad or disillusioned about the reality, but he accepts his own conceptions as reality. So concluding the topic of knowledge, knowledge in Sattva Guna is according to the real scriptures, free from mental speculation, understands both matter and spirit, sees all living beings as equal, and produces all desirable qualities. Knowledge in the mode of Rajas means seeing difference in all living beings. The soul does not exist. Theories that are based on mundane logic and speculation. It identifies oneself with a particular nation, species, religion, gender, and so on, and is knowledge limited to matter. Knowledge in the mode of Tamas means eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Only what I know is actually important, and reality is whatever I can perceive. The places we live and are surrounded daily also influence the mode of material nature we associate with. Places in the mode of goodness are clean but not sterile. Rather, a natural order, like a forest, that is inhabited by deers and contains natural herbs, roots and fruits, clean lakes, and mountains with natural flowing water are places in the mode of goodness. Places in the mode of passion are where a lot of activities for sense enjoyments are going on, like cities, cinemas, clubs, or sport events. Environment in the mode of ignorance are where sinful activities are performed and encouraged, like brothels, casinos, bars, and slaughterhouses. Now comes everyone's favorite topic, food. Food has an incredible influence on our consciousness. As the saying goes, you are what you eat, and nowhere is this more true than in the influence of the modes of nature. Food in the mode of goodness are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing to the heart. They give strength, health, happiness, satisfaction, and increase the duration of life. They are also natural, pure, and easy to obtain, like fruits, nuts, grains, herbs, and milk products. These are all foods that can be obtained without causing unnecessary violence to others. Food in the mode of passion are those that are too bitter, too sour, too salty, hot, pungent, dry, and burnt. They cause distress, misery, and disease, but are pleasing in taste for those attracted by the mode of passion. These foods are things like onions, garlic, vinegar, chilies, and fermented food like cheese. Food in the mode of ignorance is anything that has been prepared more than 3 hours before eating, food that is tasteless, decomposed, putrid, and food consisting of remnants and untouchable things like meat, fish, eggs, and alcohol. They lead to the degeneration of one's pure consciousness, which comes mainly through forgetfulness, disease, and ultimately shorten one's lifespan. So to summarize the foods in the modes of material nature, foods in Sattva are juicy, fatty, wholesome, and pleasing. They are natural and easily obtainable. They are obtained without causing unnecessary distress or violence to other living beings, and they give happiness, health, strength, and satisfaction. They also increase one's lifespan. Foods in the mode of Rajas are too sour, too bitter, salty, pungent, hot, or dry, are fermented food like cheese, and they cause misery and disease. Food in the mode of Tamas are everything which is being eaten 3 hours after it has been cooked, food that is tasteless, decomposed, and foul, food that is gained by causing suffering or killing, and is food that will cause forgetfulness, disease, and shortens one's lifespan. Sometimes we ask ourselves, why are there so many types of religion? The Bhagavad Gita dedicates a whole chapter with this topic. Faith under the modes of material nature. By analyzing this chapter, we get a clearer understanding of what modes provokes a certain faith in a living being. Faith is said to originate from goodness, but because nothing from this material world is completely pure, that faith gets mixed with passion and ignorance. Original faith means that we are part and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and are originally spiritual beings related to Him. Faith will sprout into 4 major actions: whom to worship, what austerity to perform, what sacrifice must be made, and how charity should be given. Worship in the mode of goodness means worship of the Devatas, or divine living beings that are like administrators of the universe, like Lord Shiva, Lord Indra, Ganesh, and similar demigods. The austerity performed by man in the mode of goodness is threefold: body, mind, and speech. Austerity of the body means I utilize my body to serve others, especially respectable persons like one's parents, teachers, and spiritual master. It also consists of cleanliness, simplicity, celibacy, and nonviolence. Austerity of the mind consists in satisfaction, simplicity, self-control, and purification of one's existence. Austerity of speech consists in speaking words that are truthful, pleasing, beneficial, and not agitating to others, and also regularly recite from Vedic scriptures. Sacrifice in the Vedic context means to perform yagyas, like the chanting of the holy names of God, to please the demigods who are administrators of the universe. As such, it must be done without a desire for personal gain. Charity in the mode of goodness must be given to a worthy person in a clean place and without a desire to getting the favor returned. The object of worship for someone in the mode of passion is a materially powerful being. That can be a politician, musician, artist, military leader, or even a whole group of such people. A man influenced by passion performs austerity out of pride and egotism for the sake of prestige and personal gain, without regards to how it would affect the elements of his body or the supersoul dwelling within. The only reason he performs sacrifice is for some material benefit or for the sake of his pride. The reason he gives charity is to gain respect, honor, and worship, or with a general desire to get something in return. To give charity in a grudging mood is also under the influence of passion. Whatever he achieves in this way is neither permanent nor stable. The object of worship in the mode of ignorance are ghosts and spirits. Austerity performed out of foolishness with self-torture or to destroy and injure others is said to be in the mode of ignorance. Sacrifice that is performed without regards of the directions of the Vedas, that is devoid of distribution of sanctified food or prasadam, without proper chanting of the Vedic mantras, and without remuneration to the priests, while being devoid of faith, is in the mode of ignorance. Charity given in an impure place at an improper time and to an unworthy person who will misuse these donations, or charity given in a disrespectful or inattentive manner, are also influenced by tamaguna. Happiness is defined by everyone individually, but even that personal conception of happiness is actually influenced by the three modes of material nature. Happiness in the mode of goodness comes from a sense of knowledge, detachment, peace, and satisfaction. It is the highest form of material happiness because it is steady and draws from the direct perception of the self. In order to achieve happiness in the mode of goodness, one must be regulated in his activities of eating, sleeping, recreation, and work. Happiness in the mode of goodness tastes like poison in the beginning, but turns to be just like nectar in the end. Happiness in the mode of passion comes from sense perception. So our happiness in the mode of passion is wealth, fame, family, sex, and fulfillment of all our material needs. Contact with the things we desire will cause us great joy, while absence of these opportunities to indulge in our material desires will cause us great anxiety, fear of losing what we already have achieved, and hankering for what we still desire. When one desire is fulfilled, we may experience some satisfaction, but it is temporary. We will soon again desire to fulfill more of our material wishes without satisfaction. Moreover, because everything within this world is temporary, we are sure to be separated from our loved ones and anything else we developed attachment to in this world. Therefore, happiness in the mode of passion tastes just like nectar in the beginning, but then turns into poison in the end. Happiness in the mode of ignorance comes from a perception of happiness towards sleep, laziness, and enjoying oneself or others. It blinds us to self-realization and binds us tightly to this material world. As the saying goes, ignorance is bliss. Happiness in the mode of ignorance is poison in the beginning and the end. So now we summarize the happiness under the modes of material nature. In Sattva, happiness comes from knowledge, detachment, peace, and satisfaction. It is directly perceived through the self, and in order to attain such happiness, we must become regulated in our bodily activities. The taste of happiness in the mode of goodness is just like poison in the beginning, but then turns out to be nectar. Happiness in the mode of passion comes from wealth, family, sex, and other material desires. It brings intense happiness with success, but great grief by failure, and it is tasting just like nectar in the beginning, but turns out to be poison in the end. Happiness in the mode of ignorance comes from sleep, intoxication, hurting oneself and others. Ignorance is bliss for a person in the mode of ignorance, therefore he does not feel the need to increase his standard of happiness. Happiness in the mode of ignorance is also poison throughout the beginning and end. So thus far we have discussed the three modes of material nature. Now after hearing all this, one can conclude that it is best to be situated in the mode of goodness. But wait, there is one more thing, and that is transcendence. Because it's called the three modes of material nature, there is actually a spiritual nature which is beyond these modes, and this is discussed by Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So Krishna explains in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Apariyam itastvanyam prakritim vedime param jivabutam mahabaho yaedam dayate jagat. Beside these, almighty armed Arjuna, there is another superior energy of mind which comprises the living entities who are exploiting the resources of this material inferior nature. Krishna, who is the controller of the three Gunas, is not affected by them. Therefore, through contact with him, we gradually become freed from the influence of the modes of material nature. The Vedas advise us to be situated in a mode of goodness because on that platform it is possible to attain transcendence steadily. That platform is called Shuddha Sattva, or pure goodness, and is the natural quality of the living entity that is currently covered by the Gunas. And how to attain this Shuddha Sattva platform, Krishna explains in the 9th and 18th chapters of Bhagavad Gita. Yat karoshi yat ashnasi yat yodoshi yat ashiyad yat tapasasya kaunteya tat kurushva mad arpanam. Whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer or give away, and whatever austerities you perform, do that, O son of Kunti, as an offering to me. And this sums up our topic today. And please let me know in the comment section if you have any questions or suggestions, and I hope I'll see you next time.